Hello, hello. Welcome everyone to this week's very special episode of Career Congregation. I wanted to record a special opening intro for everyone today to share the wonderful news that on Tuesday, March 10th, 2 days ago, Career Congregation turned 1 year old. I decided that this warranted some special reflection on the podcast and all of the wonderful guests that I've had on for the past year, the stories they've shared and the advice they've given, and the growth that the podcast has experienced. None of it would be possible if it wasn't for these wonderful guests. So, this episode is dedicated to all of them. If you enjoy it, if you want to hear more conversations like this, please like, share, review the podcast, share it with people who you think it might inspire. I think this episode in particular has so much sage wisdom in it that can help people move through difficult times and reminders of what's really important. Lots of personal and professional advice. So enjoy. And if you're interested in working with me, or if you think that you'd be a good guest for the podcast, or you know someone who would be, all of my contact information is in the show notes. Okay. Thank you and enjoy. Career Congregation was birthed out of me seeing repeatedly with friends, with family, and with clients, people coming in and not being satisfied with work, struggling to find work, being made redundant, being not even being made redundant, just being suddenly fired, or hating their boss, hating their job, not getting what they want from work. And I think it's so important because there are some lucky people that don't have to work, but the majority of people have to spend a lot of their waking hours going to work. And, if you hate what you're doing, or even if you don't hate it, but it's not quite right, everything is connected, and that permeates into your very existence on every level, and it affects all of your relationships, your mental health, your sleep, your well-being, all the things. So it's like my passion to help people, even if it feels really far away, to start to take meaningful, conscious actions and steps towards a more fulfilling career that really inspires them. On the back of all of these experiences that you've had, because there's been so many, what advice would you today, in this process that you're going through of self-knowledge, what advice would you give to your younger self, either a rock bottom version of yourself or your younger self? What would you tell yourself?
Okay, so that's really easy for me. But before we go back there, just something was coming into my head. So I'd like to say something to myself of 2 hours ago before this conversation, and to be, because I was thinking about this, being referred to as the happiness guru, and when we were kind of talking about it before we were on air, it's kind of like, do I feel completely comfortable with that kind of thing? But actually, the point is that I have learned a lot. I've lived a wild life. I have a lot of stories I can tell that can punctuate lots of very good lessons. And then I was thinking, like we've been talking here is like, I'm unraveling a lot of that stuff. But the fact is, I am much more capable now than I was 5 years ago to be the happiness guru, because I'm learning all these skills from psychotherapy. So that's just something that's come to me over this conversation, is that, yes, I can still be the happiness guru if that's what the path that I want to take, but I'll do it in a much more real way. And yes, there's anger here, there's sadness. You can't get away from those, and here's your happiness also. I'll be the emotional guru rather than the happiness guru. Just like we need sadness. Inside Out taught us that. So
no, I love that film.
So good, isn't it? And literally that's what I've been going through. It's like but I'm 46 years old. I wish I'd had a joy that could learn those lessons and bring happiness and everything in as a 12-year-old or however old the girl is. But if I go back to, let's go back to my younger self. It's so easy. It's so simple. And that is just to say that you're enough as you are.
Yeah.
And it would be so interesting if I could go back once a night, just hold my little 7-year-old self and just say, you're enough as you are. What would the difference be in my life? It's an emotional thing to think about.
Probably not to work so hard, actually. Probably not to work so hard. But I also think that everything that you go through kind of takes you to where you need to go at the end. So, the fact that I did do biology at A level, and even though I hated it, it served me really well over the years for the other things that I've done. Or if I was taking apart a really kind of, medically focused health story as a writer or an editor, to all the way to now understanding how the brain works and things like that. So I kind of feel like everything ties in anyway, and that it all kind of is part of the journey. But for myself, my younger self, I probably would have said, don't work so hard because it's not worth your health, which I stand by.
Yeah, unequivocally.
Yeah. So I think this is what I enjoy about this work, is that it's showing people that you can still achieve your dreams, you can still do everything you want to do and tick off everything you want to do, but make time for rest, make time for supporting yourself, and making sure that you're adequately nourished and rested as well. And actually that way you also achieve your dreams, but in a healthier way.
If you have a message that you would give to yourself, like present day you, that you would give to yourself when you were at your sort of lowest point?
I would say to my younger self is lean into fear. Don't be afraid of fear. I think fear is a good litmus test for me to show me that I'm probably on the right path. When you're doing things that make you uncomfortable, that scare you, don't run from that. Run towards it.
So I think the advice would have been to stick at it, keep on doing it.
Don't give up.
Yeah, use what you've got and the friends you've made to build a better team. And there was quite often bad years. You get the wrong bike and your whole year could be a write-off, and that happened to me on 3 or 4 occasions. So you have to come back from that. You have less friends when you're not doing well, and so you have to get a little team together that you trust and that believe in you and you believe in them. Make it all work again, and so pretty just work your way back out. And I managed to do it. So I think the advice would have been, that's what you need to do. And I managed to figure that out at the time. But a few extra voices saying, that's what you need to do. And just, providing you with those extra resources. So it's not only the advice, is it? It's simply the resources and the extra skills you have from building a team around you. I did build a team.
And you are very good at building teams, I can say, from having worked with you personally.
And that's come from the bike thing, doesn't it? Because I had to build this team, and of course I couldn't. Maybe one mechanic I could pay a pitiful wage, and everyone came along on an amateur basis. So they had to believe in the project, and they had to believe in you. And I ended up with it absolutely wonderful. 22 of the people that helped me out over the years, and honestly, I can't be more grateful to a bunch of people. They would drive across Europe for me. They'd work through the night on an engine for me. They put everything back together when I smashed it up. What just a brilliant group of people.
Success was equal money. So we had so many discussions on that when I said, I'm not driven by money. I want money because it gives me freedom. But that is never what drives me. It's never the choice I'm going to make. I'm not going to make a choice because of the money. I will always choose happiness and purpose and values and authenticity and what feels right over whatever gives me more money. That's the way I've always navigated my life. And interesting fact here, the author of *Sapiens*, what's his name?
I have it.
Yohari. Yeah,
I have that.
You know what he says? There's just like one God that humanity has agreed on, and that is money.
Oh, ooh, chills. Yeah,
chills. Yeah,
So
and that's true. If you see what happens, right? And that scares me. So money can be a very positive thing. You can have a lot of positive energy. It's like exchange and all that. You know, you do something, get all that. But if it's your driver, if that's like, and it used to kind of have power over other or put yourself over other, then it's like a bad energy. So I'm very...
I mean, it's at the core of like the world's biggest problems, especially right now, but historically, yeah. Yeah, money, power, greed.
Exactly. So, so I mean, money good, but it's not the purpose of anything. It's just like a means, and it's a wonderful thing when it flows into your life. But honestly, when it flows into my life, it flows pretty quick out again because, you know, I do love. And talking about that, we talked about this earlier as well. Like when something doesn't work, it's often a sign that you should redirect, right? Like resistance, when you get resistance, redirect.
You know, and also you don't have to fight so hard for everything. I think that was always a big thing for me. It was like I always was so worried. I was so worried all the time that something wasn't going to work out, or that I had to make everything, like make sure that things worked out. And just like, you don't have to fight so hard for everything. Just allow things to play out. It's sort of like what I said before, allow the universe to like just take care of things. Like, it's not all up to you, basically. It's not, you're not in, like, you don't have control over everything.
Yeah, that's a really good message. Yeah, it's the surrender, right?
Trust. Yeah, trust.
So I think part of how you challenge yourself in life is sometimes when you have an opportunity in front of you, you just go for it. I think there are statistics that talk about this idea that when women are applying for a job versus men, women will, if they don't have 9 out of 10 of the skills,
they won't apply.
But if men have like 3 or 4 of them, they'll apply.
And they'll lie. They're much more likely to lie on their CV.
Yeah. And I did none of that, right? And I was definitely not one of those guys who was just always, you know, predisposed to just going for it. And I think that if I had a bit more of that growing up, I'm not saying I wouldn't have ended up where I am or whatever, but I think that you definitely want to live a life where you don't really have regrets as much as possible. And I know I'm only in my early 40s, so
not even halfway.
I'm not even sitting here like an old man being like, well, you know, when I was growing up.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where I would have taken a lot more bold action growing up. And I think learning how to do that when you are, you know, in a mid-career professional, whatever it is, right? It's a bit tough, but I think if you give yourself grace, you can get through that, get to what you need to do. So I would say that to my younger self, just go for it.
Yeah.
You know, so go for the audition or apply for the job or go up to that person and say, hi, I'm so-and-so and XYZ. Just learn everything you can learn. Even when it came to things like dating, you know, like...
Yeah.
I think part
you
of
have
the
to
problem,
fail.
You gotta fail, man. You gotta fail. Like, I was like one of these Silicon Valley entrepreneurs, right? That they talk like, oh my God, I feel like 50 times before like my first success. And it's like, yeah, but I'm a billionaire now. And I think that, you know, if you just back yourself and say, hey, I'm so-and-so, I'd like to have coffee with you to discuss this, and you never know when initiative can do something for you. Ever. And I think from a career perspective, some of the jobs I've gotten have not come from going online and applying. They've come from
reaching out directly.
I literally shook hands with someone, looked them in the eye, we had a quick chat, or someone recommended me. And I think the other part of it is, apart from going for it, you know, don't be a dick. Like, I wasn't, you know, but I'd give myself that advice again. And I think you alluded to this before, Meghan, when, you know, the quality of the relationships I'm blessed to have is just simply because I've tried to live my life not being a complete a-hole.
Yeah. You never know who you're going to run into again.
Precisely. Yeah. And also, you never know who's speaking well of you in rooms that you're not in.
Yeah.
You know, completely. So if you're out there on social media, which we didn't really grow up with.
Thank God.
That's like part 2 of this episode, right? But if you're not there and people can see you being an idiot or whatever, then ultimately people will have better impressions of you and they'll be able to advocate on your behalf. So I think, yeah, go for it and don't be a you-know-what.
Yeah, completely.
Even though I said it already.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Had a really, I had a really great boss. Again, seems to be a common thing. Didn't really back myself in, the like with my own sort of like skills or decisions that I would make, and he really empowered me to make decisions. Like I would say, we had like, I don't know, whatever, a scenario, and he would say, well, I was like, so what should we do? And he goes, well, what do you think we should do? I was like, oh, well, I think we should do this. He'd be like, okay, well then let's do that. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And that was really like good for my confidence in myself, I think. Yeah, I really enjoyed working with him and working with the teams that we had there. I have very fond memories of my time there for sure.
I need my job to feed my mind. I need to write to feed my soul. So it's a.
If you think you're gonna get your cup completely filled up from your 9 to 5, then that's quite sad. Everyone should be as well-rounded as possible. It's like expecting your partner to be your everything. It's on you to have different facets of you should be multifaceted. And I think people that put everything into their job, it's a lot.
Because what happens when you lose that job? And
Exactly.
Where do you turn to? I think this is a bigger problem in general of human beings, that we tend to err on the side of needing something outside of ourselves to give ourselves purpose, and we do, but it's more than that. That's sort of like the tip of the iceberg.
I was given this advice a long time ago, like at the very beginning of a business, you need to treat it like a baby, right? And a baby can't walk and talk until it's at least 2. So like have other shit, have other income and other things going on, because you can't rely on a baby to take care of itself yet. It will get there, but you need to nurture it and give it space and let it grow and like have other things, like just something, right? Because it's a lot to just start a company and be like, okay, let's go. Like it's usually not ready right at the beginning.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I was breaking some glass ceilings in the industry too, right? So I really, there was nobody that I could emulate or sort of figure out where to go with this and what to create and what else we could do and what companies would need for, from a content creator or content creation. So it was really almost every single day just doing one thing and then figuring out what worked and what didn't work. And I've been doing that throughout the life cycle of the company.
Yeah, and I mean, that really is also like the entrepreneur's journey. Also circling back to what you said when you said people should try everything. Like that's just so the entrepreneurial spirit. And like you learn what succeeds and what fails through making mistakes and failures. Like that's just kind of what happens. So like,
and most people, you know what the secret is? Most people don't notice.
Yeah.
Like you could stand up a community tomorrow and 8 people join in the next 6 months and you close it, nobody's going to know.
Yeah, totally. Thinking back to the guy that you were in Dublin, if you could give yourself a piece of advice, Dublin Dan, from Sweden Dan, what would you say? What would you tell him?
I would give him a hug first. And if I tried to hug him, he would like feel really he would feel really uncomfortable. I couldn't hug people back then, and so I'd hold on to him and I'd keep hugging him. I'd keep hugging him until until I felt his shoulders drop. Then I'd probably squeeze him on the bum so that he laughed. But yeah, I don't think I would. I think I would just. I don't know if I'd say anything. I think I'd just hug him and like look him in the eyes and tell him it's going to be all right.
Yeah.
I've had a bunch of therapists over the years, but one of them always says, like, nearly every time I meet with him, he said, "Dan, it's going to be like just like you're on the process. Like, what you're doing is what you're doing is going to take you wherever it takes you. Like, it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. Whatever it is, it's going to be all right. Like, I really think that now. I really feel that whatever the outcome, one way or the other, it's going to be all right. Like, it's about how you sort of, I think you should get to the point where you feel like whatever's going to happen, you trust your ability to deal with it, engage with it, and like make decisions around it.
That's such a good example of just like, that's like a good encapsulation of what inner child work is. It's like getting to the point where you are the person that you once needed, to like show up for you. And you get to a point of inner strength and inner trust, and you know that you are resourced enough and you've got you, and like you can handle whatever life throws at you. And that's kind of like, especially going back and hugging the older version of you, that's such a perfect example of what inner child work is.
And it's been a crazy, crazy journey in doing coaching and hypnotherapy, which is something that's so close to my heart. And it took a lot of guts to go full time into my own businesses on my own accord without being forced into it. I wasn't forced into it this time round. It was kind of like, oh, time to do it, time to stop talking about it and actually just go for it. And I know that you've done that too. And it's such a scary, scary place to be when you want something, but there's that fear behind the scenes that makes you crave that financial security that you feel like you're going to get from working for a business. But at the end of the day, I think we've both learned, that you're never actually that secure when no matter who you're working for. So actually that fear isn't really valid regardless.
So that's what I really hope to call out women and say, hey, be wise. You're so much more than beautiful, and you are valuable. You have a role to play. Find your voice. I really hope I can call out women with my skincare line. I would say stay in it. Feel and grieve and mourn and whatever's come, and learn from it. You might think you die. It's a small death. Yeah, and it's very well described in Women Who Run Through the Wilderness, the little death. Yeah. So that, it's not dangerous to let something go. So just stay in it, like in the land between who I was to where I'm going. So don't be afraid of staying and break down. It takes, you cry maybe you don't cry for days. You cry maybe, it's not so dangerous. So stay calm and you'll get through it.
So if you really want, all I can say is if you really, really don't want to be and do what you're doing and being, and you're sick of feeling the way you feel, and you've tried things and they haven't worked, give MACE a go. You've got nothing to lose. Like, a lot of people come to us and it's the last resort. They literally say to us, this is my last resort. If this doesn't work, then nothing's going to. So I would definitely say that you don't have to spend years talking about it. You don't have to spend years trying to learn the tricks and the tools. I know for myself, using affirmations, for example, they don't always work. I always felt like there was something wrong with me because why weren't they working for me? Like I was looking around, this was in the coaching industry, and, I'd done the big things like all the Tony Robbins stuff, and I'd look around these events and people would be like, oh yeah, I'd be like, I'm not feeling that. What is wrong with me? Like, why am I not shifting, quantum leaping through my life like these people seem to be doing? I just could not work it out. And then, once I've had a few sessions with Mace, I understood it. It's like, I just had a bigger thing driving me that I couldn't let go of.
Yeah.
We did Mace. So definitely I would recommend that. But if you can't do MACE or you don't want to give it a go, it's be kind to yourself. Like just love yourself in the moment of wherever you're at. Like if you're in a rock bottom, I think me just taking time for me and just being able to, breathe, like just breathe, like just to be able to have a breath and go, it's okay for me just to breathe today. I don't, take that pressure off of the to-do list and I have to get this done. And it's like, it's okay to stop and pause and take a breath. And, like you could do the long-term drilling down, what's really going on with me? Why am I feeling this way? And journaling and answering those questions, because you do get your answers. And sometimes you can do it enough where it takes that layer off or that shift. And, sometimes we can drill down and get that feeling and go, or that thought or that decision and go, oh yeah, that's silly, I don't need to think like that. And it goes. Like, sometimes we can do that. But on the deeper stuff, sometimes you need a little bit of help. So that's probably what I would say, is just be kind and love yourself, and, just, it will pass. The storms always pass.
So what advice would I give my rock bottom self, my past? I think, and this will probably trigger some people, but I think understanding that life is not that hard, in the sense that everything is for you and for your best interest. Even if you're going through something that's like extremely traumatic and stuff like that, the universe, the world, God, whatever you believe in, does not want you to feel as low as you probably do. That is not the end goal. And I think that's why, as a Catholic, I grew up obviously in the Catholic Church. I stepped far away from the church, because anything that's going to put fear-mongering into you, and like, that is not an abundant, unconditional love space. I believe in God. I don't believe that the Earth Church is a representative of God and its teachings.
I agree. I think that about any religion.
Any religion, exactly. So I think if you're coming from that space where my life is going to be hard because I deserve it to be hard, it will be hard. But actually, self-love, and it sounds so corny, but when you really dig into that self-love piece and being like, why don't I love myself? Why am I not showing up for myself? Why am I self-sabotaging? All these like really intense questions, allow them to come forward and allow yourself to step into that space that life is supposed to be fun. Life is supposed to be like flowy and abundant. And even if you're not like a millionaire right now, just like look around and see this crazy world that's like all creation and imagination all around you. All these things are available to you. We just have to allow ourselves to receive them. So I think that's where people block the most. I learned this lesson really big when I met my partner, because I just didn't think I deserved love like that. I really didn't. When it came to the core, I was like, I don't deserve this love. Like, why is he with me? Don't have any money. Like, all these things came forward. And I realized that actually I was the one that was like telling myself that I didn't deserve it. He's never felt that way. I always felt that way. Why? So when I really stepped into that self-love piece of like, oh, actually, I am amazing. I am this. I am that. I have all these things. Okay, cool. Like, my life hasn't been the norm, but I'm so grateful for it. I get to wake up every morning and create something. I get to wake up every morning and like step outside and like breathe fresh air. All these amazing things. And even if you're in that point of your life where everything seems so daunting, and I've been there, like crying on the floor, like, why is this fucking happening over and over again? Like screaming and pleading with the universe. Just take a second and breathe and try to like ask yourself just those deep questions of, why is this showing up? What is this teaching me? Because if it's teaching you something, if it's showing up, and even if it's negative, that's the universe trying to speak to you. And that's the universe trying to expand you.
Yeah.
And that's the universe showing you love. So there's always love, regardless of the situation that you're in. So I think, and there's always someone to talk to. Like, message me, you can message Meghan, I'm sure. Like, there's always someone around who's been through it and can relate, and bring you back to that space of, okay, that love.
I think that I would tell myself to continue to trust myself, that it's going to be okay, that you will figure it out. Believe in yourself, and just keep iterating and trying things. And, I think when I got older, I realized that our down times feel like they'll last forever. And we forget that about our up times. You know, well, forget that about our down times, is that we think it'll last forever, but change is inevitable, and we're not going to stay down, you know, indefinitely. We're also not going to get to stay up indefinitely. And to know that things change, especially just given time and effort, if you put effort out there, things will change. You'll get through it, and just keep persevering. You know, at the end of the day, you have to just keep persevering. As an entrepreneur, I would say there are moments quite frequently where it feels like everything's kind of falling apart. And just, you got to lean into those moments and lean into the uncertainty. Sometimes it's wonderful if you have people around you that, you know, you can receive support from, but at the end of the day, you also have to give yourself that love and that support. Trust yourself, believe in yourself. Look back on the moments when you pushed through in your life, difficult, challenging times, and realize that this is another one of those, and you have new skills and resources, and you'll push through this one similarly to that last one.
Yeah. Trusting.
And you got to trust the universe.
Definitely.
And you got to listen, you know? You got
Yeah.
to listen to what the universe is trying to tell you.
I will say that life is full of surprises. And also when you touch rock bottom, it's amazing because you can't go further down. So that's quite reassuring in some ways. So you're like, okay, I'm at the bottom. I'm in the shit. So now I can only go up. And yeah, life keeps surprising me with so much beauty. It can be raw, it can be challenging, but it's like a hike. Of course, you're like, oh, I got to the top of the mountain. It's fine. No, it's not. But it is an adventure. Life, I don't want to sound cliche, but it's a process. But keep believing in your dreams, you know, because if they are in your mind, it's for a reason. It's just this little voice who tells you that it's possible. And we have so much, and I have like shivers when I connect with my guides, so they're like shivers of love. We have so much protection, we have so much love around us. And if we just know how to tap into it, what I teach and what you, even, you know, do some research on the internet, you don't have to pay me. You can access this, you know, you can access this and it's incredible. And so it's so reassuring and you have all the answers within yourself. So that's what I will tell myself. So to keep going, even when people tell you it's not possible, to be like, thank you for your point of view, and you just continue your road. You know, you don't even need to debate and spend your energy. And one day you will be surrounded with people who get you, who are cheering you up. You are going to talk about all the topic you want. You're going to be paid for doing a job that doesn't look like a job. Have amazing people around you, boyfriend, whatever. So, yeah. So just know it's just one chain of the mountain. It's a cycle, and there will be another cycle. And there is nothing to be afraid of.
It made me realize that the grass always feels greener, right? But at the end of the day, I think it doesn't matter where you are. You know, we're all struggling with the same shit.
And we all have the power to take some control back.
Absolutely.
But it takes self-awareness and like determination.
And ownership, right? It's just taking ownership that, you know what, the moment I start taking ownership, then that's where people are like, well, I don't, then it's all on me, right? I like blaming everything else, right? Mm-hmm. I'm just like, no, I understand the comfort level of that, but then if things fail, then it's on me, and then I learn from it and do that. But, you know, you gotta get out of this kind of mental masturbation moments where it's like you can just overanalyze things and think, but it's like, look, saying you're going to do the thing is not doing the thing, right? You just got to actually just do the thing.
Just do it.
Yeah, just do it. Yeah.
Oh, it just would be like the essence of like you are never alone. You are absolutely surrounded by energies and I don't know, I just feel my guardian angels around me all the time, and it makes me feel so connected. And also just that experiences that lead me back to keeping my heart open will always be available to me. And celebrate it, and celebrate your open heart, because I definitely have a commitment to not close my heart no matter what in this life. And sometimes that's a really tough one, but I am committed I'm committed. So it would just be the assurance of, it's worth it. Like keep it, just allow it, even with all the feelings and with everything that comes with that.
Yeah. I love knowing that we're never alone.
This cliche of you either live to work or work to live that's always been pretty profound for me. I truly believe I am a work to live individual. Don't get me wrong, there's lots of stuff I do that I'm super passionate about and I love, but I don't wake up every day just saying I want this day's work and everything I do to define exactly who I am. I want I want to live places that charge me up, that make me feel good. I want to have hobbies and passions that I know I can do that I feel define who I am as an individual. And just getting outside and being in nature and being fortunate enough to now live in the Rocky Mountains, these are things that, I just kind of knew that was the trajectory I needed to go on. So I think that's part of the reason I became an entrepreneur, was because I couldn't sell my time. I just didn't. And actually, I started in the beginning as an entrepreneur selling my time, and that was probably one of my biggest mistakes. But it's just, everybody says time is the most finite resource, but you give that up to someone else, and you've basically given up your freedom. So, in my opinion, it's you got to make sure that's the most important thing in moderation and balance. Balance the career and balance the stuff that charges you up. I've always been willing to sacrifice money over happiness, and I'm a big believer in three things now. This has come from some challenges in work and come from some maybe not so great, maybe some toxic relationships and missteps, but I call it the 3 Ps. It's the people, the project, and the pay. And it's always in that order. You've got to have 2 of the 3. And if you're really relying on the pay, it's a little tough. If you can get the people and the project dialed in, the pay will happen, and you will figure that out because you're happy, you're inspired, you feel good. This is probably why I became an entrepreneur, but I've always had an issue with people who I don't respect telling me what to do, or who I don't believe have a vision, or there's problem people who just whine, and then there's solution people who fix problems. And when you throw me in a room with a bunch of problem people, I try to solve problems, and that sometimes is great in a team environment, and other times that can be confrontational, it can butt heads, it can do this. But I think being able to start my own businesses and fire clients has been a huge thing for me. I only want to surround myself with people that respect me and respect the work I do. You want to feel valued. You don't just want to feel like mistreated and disrespected. That's a tough place to wake up every day. And I've done it. I've felt that. It's not fun. So
Yeah. I mean, I think we've all worked with the wrong people. It definitely helps set the trajectory.
Well, there'd be a couple things I say. The first one is that you are enough. And you don't answer to anyone else. And so you don't need anyone else's approval to live your life. Okay, that would be the first thing. And so what that does right away is it builds your confidence to own yourself. And that leads into point number 2, which is own your own power and take it back from others. Because probably what's happened, and this I notice in a lot of people, is as they've gone through their life, they've given little bits of their power away, right?
Yeah.
So pull all that back to you. And that will actually really create who you are as a powerful being. So own your own power and take it back from others. That's what I would say.
I think before I give any advice to that younger version of me, my 18-year-old self, I think first I just want to say thank you to him. Because it's so amazing to me that at such a young age and having no one around, he still has a determination to move forward. He never gave up, no matter how close he came to. And the fact that he didn't lose the love for human being while going through that time, and actually it's intensified his love for people. It gives him this passion to want to help other people. I have seen people who become cynics going through a difficult time.
Yeah.
And for some reason, that kid just become more loving, even though he's just even though the person he most cynical about was himself, he never lost a love for other people. And I I don't think that kid understood just how powerful that was. And if I could talk to him, I love to be able to share that and just share just how proud I am of him. And I want to thank him because everything that he went through, it informed me who I am today, informed me in what I do. And I really just hope that he's as proud of me as I am of him.
Yeah.
And if I can give any advice to him, I would just say, give yourself more grace. You are 18 years old. This is the first time you're away from your family. You all by yourself. You are having you maintain full relationship. You have so much pressure, and you want to figure it out right then and there. And I understand why, but I wish he was have more love for himself, have more grace, and understanding that this is okay. This is part of the process. It will not be less painful. The pain will be there, but the pain serves a purpose. So I would love for him to love himself more, trust the process, and keep on going the same way that he did. And I wish I could go back and show him that the light at the end of the tunnel. But I know for it to play out the way it is, he has to go through that experience. So I'm very, very proud and very grateful for him.
Best advice I received from a mentor of mine, because especially with someone like me where I have all these kind of like multifaceted kind of ideas and things and career, whether it's the teaching, whether it's the modeling, whether I feel like I just don't want to be in a box. I want to try it all. And it was whenever he said to me, he was like, just pick a lane and then go for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then
and if you want to change lanes, you can change lanes. Yeah,
exactly.
Totally.
I found even now that I'm in that lane, I'm going for it, and now that I've kind of got the tempo and it's flowing, I can actually then reach for other stuff that I can add to it, rather than at the very start you're just kind of going all the different directions, because then you're not getting anywhere fast. You know what I mean? So I definitely recommend for people, it's never ever too late. Like
ever.
Ever just go for it, do what you want, and like, why not, you know?
I would say, because I don't think I did this, pay attention to your inner self more, because for me personally, I was always go, go, go. And, you know, I was always like, there's always an opportunity. You know, there's always, you know, where I was going, who I was talking to, you know, is there something for me to learn? Is there somebody I should know? Is there, you know, and you forget about your gut, basically. You forget to actually check in with yourself and really ask yourself, you know, what do you want? Who are you? You know, what's your direction? Because I find a lot of people, and I was one of those people in my 20s, I thought I knew it all. I was so secure. I was, you know, so confident. I already had a business, and I could pinpoint to you, make a list of exactly what I would do, what I wouldn't do, what I liked, what I didn't like. Even in finding a partner, I knew 100. I want this. I would never do that. I would never. So, but what I realized now, well, earlier, but whatever, my later adult life, was that I didn't know myself really. Because if I really knew myself, if I had and focused on the emotional intelligence and me internally and really got to know myself, I think I would have made some different decisions. So in reality, and those things weren't really talked about when I was growing up, like emotional intelligence. There was I didn't know what that was, right? Nobody talked about that.
Number one, the most value you're ever going to get in your career is from your network. So build it, nurture it. That's where your future jobs are going to come from. I think that the work landscape, applying for jobs, I think that whole thing's broken right now because we haven't caught up with technology. Build your network, nurture it. Those people will employ you in your future self. So number one is that. Number two is always keep learning. it's super important to feed your brain in whatever way you choose to do it. That Stanford course for me, some of it was like way over my head, but other stuff really stuck and I still remember it now. But learning is super important. And finally, when things suck, it's okay to feel shitty and, have self-compassion, hug yourself, it's not your fault, and give yourself time and fresh air, nurture your body, and in time you'll look back and you'll be like, because of that I can now see this thing that I couldn't see before.
It's not about doing things without fear. My whole model and my whole essence, and I hope you get this vibe, whoever's listening, is to be able to act from the unknown. That's the goal. It's like, you don't have to always know every step. You don't have to have everything figured out. You have to have at least done the work on yourself, that you will then trust your judgment, trust your decisions. You will be able to move through fog and still trust that you can feel your way in the dark, and that actually everything's going to be okay. And it's okay to take risks, because actually that's where we usually find that the opportunities lie. And really that's what I try and help people with now. That could be people that are crippled with anxiety, with low self-confidence, that have came from a trauma background, from family, but they're doing really well in life, but they're still not living authentically. They still get this ache for something else, or they still know that they don't have peace in their heart. Probably the biggest advice, just listen earlier. Listen earlier than you did. Don't wait till it becomes the painful situation that you know it takes you time to recover from, because that will happen if you don't listen. And I think as well, just learn how to, if you don't do it already, I would say to my younger self, start working on yourself, the inner work, the healing work, join the dots together. If I'd done that a little sooner too, and I'd maybe got help to do it, it might not have taken the 10 years that it took to have the wake up.
Myself, like, how am I going to do this? But then gradually you sort of find what works, a rhythm. And as your children get older, naturally that feels easier. And I think what I wish I'd known when my children were younger, like babies, like, you know what, sometimes it's actually okay to just do what the most important thing to do is, and just be there for your child in those very early days, because that's time you don't get back. And essentially you don't know how much time is coming in the future, because you're like, oh god, I've got to scramble. And that's how I felt. I felt very pressured to be all of the things. So I think what I'm trying to do now is be a mum when I'm a mum, and then sort of figure out a way that I can sort of puzzle piece a career around that, because that's my most important job. That to me is my most important job, and it will forever be my most important job. So I want to be fulfilled and have a career and be stimulated and be creative, but it's not to the detriment of that. So I think what I'm finding is there are many more opportunities than I realized. Like I found clients on Upwork. Most of my freelance clients have been through friends or connections that I already had. And I think that is really valuable. It's like, if anybody listening is sort of wondering how to get started, ask the people that you know, because there's going to be people that that are looking for the skills you have. Like example, how I got my retail job, it was through a client I had for email marketing. She opened a second store and she needed someone to work in the store, and I was like, I'd love to work in the store for you.
So I think I'd probably go back to a really young version of myself, experiencing this restrictive fear, scarcity mindset with money, and be very clear that money doesn't define you. Like it's not that, it's not the source of your self-worth, it's not the source of your value. You are so much more than what's going on in your bank account. Like, build a life that you want and everything will flow.
I remember when I was younger, when I had a salary job, like it was one of my first jobs, and I very quickly was like, this fucking sucks. One, I wasn't stimulated. Like, it wasn't the right role for me. Like, it sucked. I had a big, horrible boss. Like, treated me like it was like Mad Men. Like, he made me go in and make coffee for all the guys in the boardroom. It was so, I was like, never again. Like, I quit. I hated that job. But anyways, I just remembered the salary that I was on. And I know I was like new and it was like entry level, but it just didn't resonate. Like, I was like, this, 5 years in the future, maybe it will be a little bit higher, but even that still sucks. And I was like, this sucks. And it didn't take me long to work out that if you are self-employed, I mean, yeah, you have to hustle and whatever, but like the earning potential, if you're freelance or entrepreneur, is potentially unlimited. But if you're in a salaried role, you are locking yourself into a box, and that's all you're going to earn, unless you also have side hustles. But if you're giving 40 plus hours a week to one role, like, there's only so much energy that we have.
That was also something I had to work on, where if something doesn't serve you, leave. You don't need to prove yourself for a year, 2 years, you know what I mean? So that was also, I put that into everything that I do now. So it doesn't matter whether it's friendship, like you can meet someone today and you get on, and maybe after a few weeks, like, this doesn't feel right, move on. Things doesn't always have to end horribly.
Yeah, completely.
You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be a car crash before you're like, okay, yeah, no, it's not for me. No, I saw some red flags. Okay, we can discuss it. And then if nothing changes, if nothing improves, it was nice to meet you. Bye. The jobs, everything,
What a journey. Life is a crazy journey. And you can be moved around by what's happening around you. And you can be influenced by the politics or the new trends or whatever it is. But I personally feel like all we need is to feel like we are enough and that we can follow our own nose.
Yeah, following your true inner compass, and it will be okay.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I think about my own life and experiences that I've had, and we all need help sometimes, and in the last year, or the last 2-3 years, it's been intense, and I've had to ask for help from people, and it's hard. No one likes asking for help. But again, back to this, we are humans, and as the human race, we're meant to be in community. We're meant to connect with each other, and we're meant to help each other. So I want this podcast to help as many people as possible and to connect people. And the more vulnerable that you can be with your loved ones and with the people around you, I think the more reward you get from that, because it takes a lot of courage to be vulnerable. And all of the guests that I've had so far have been so brave and shared some pretty heavy stuff, from depression to addiction, suicidal ideation. It's tough. It's a lot of heavy stuff, but they've all gotten help and support and pushed through and are in, some pretty incredible places now. So I hope that it's inspiring to everyone who's listened and helpful. And I'm really looking forward to seeing where this goes and who my next guests will be. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Career Congregation. I hope it gave you something to think about or inspired you in some way. If you enjoyed this conversation, please take a moment to like, subscribe, or share this episode with someone you think it might resonate with. Every bit of support helps. If you know someone who you think would make a great guest, please send them my way via the link in the show bio. And if you'd like to support the show and the work that I do, you can buy me a coffee via the coffee link also in the show bio. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week for another conversation about all things career.